The air in the auction house back room before a record sale hangs thick with the scent of aged paper and the ghost of polished ambition. Velvet ropes, usually coiled neatly against the walls, now lie haphazardly, a silent testament to a sudden, forced stillness. The opulent space, designed for hushed reverence and the discreet transfer of immense wealth, now feels hollow, a gilded cage with an open door. You, Grant Sterling, step through the threshold, your worn leather shoes a muted counterpoint to the hushed luxury of the Persian rug beneath. Your gaze, sharp and unyielding, sweeps over the scene, absorbing the details that others might dismiss as mere chaos. A faint, metallic tang, alien to the usual aroma of the room, pricks at your senses. It's not the scent of blood, but something colder, more precise. A colleague, lean and perpetually agitated, gestures wildly towards a massive reinforced vault door. No forced entry, Grant, not a scratch. The thermal scanners, motion sensors, laser grids, all bypassed. It's like they just walked through the wall. His voice, usually a clipped monotone, is laced with a rare, disquieted awe. Your eyes trace the flawless surface of the vault, a monolith of gleaming steel and intricate locking mechanisms. Its digital interface, a complex tapestry of biometric readers and encrypted keypads, glows a steady, undisturbed green. No error messages, no flickering lights, no sign of tampering. It stands as an unblemished monument to its own impenetrable design. Its contents are gone. What was stored here? You ask. Your voice a low rumble that seems to absorb the tension in the room rather than add to it. The Bellerophon Codex, the colleague replies. The name a hushed reverence. Original digital master. The only copy. Scheduled for auction this evening. Estimated value. Incalculable, given its proprietary encryption algorithms. He runs a hand through his already disheveled hair. It's not just the data, it's the technology it represents. A corporate espionage nightmare. You approach the vault, your gloved fingers hovering inches from the cool metal. No fingerprints mar its surface, no dust motes disturbed. This isn't the work of a brute force operative. This is something else entirely. A ghost in the machine. A whisper in the system. Your eyes narrow, a familiar fire igniting deep within. It's the same spark that has driven you through countless dead ends, the same unwavering resolve that has pulled you back from the precipice of past failures, each one a phantom weight on your shoulders. Justice, for you, is not a concept. It is a relentless pursuit, an unquenchable thirst. You circle the vault, your mind already constructing a mental blueprint of its security protocols, searching for the invisible seam, the overlooked flaw. The room is immaculate, almost too perfect. No shattered glass, no overturned furniture, no signs of a struggle. The only disturbance is the palpable absence of the Codex, the unsettling implication of its vanishing act. The security chief, you state, not a question. Over there, the colleague points to a man in a crisp uniform, his face pale and drawn, speaking into a secure communicator. He's as baffled as we are, says his systems are pristine. No logs, no alarms, no digital footprint of an intrusion. It's an impossible breach. You move towards the chief, your steps deliberate. Tell me about the system's fail-safes, the redundancies, the last integrity check. The chief, a man accustomed to unwavering control, looks at you with a flicker of desperation. Every protocol was active. Dual-layer biometrics, optical scanning, an electromagnetic field generator. The data itself was stored on a quantum-encrypted server air-gapped from the network. It's a closed-loop, Detective Sterling, completely isolated. There's simply no way in or out without leaving a trace. And yet, you counter, your voice devoid of judgment, the Codex is gone. Your gaze drifts to a small, almost imperceptible detail on the highly polished mahogany table beside the vault. A single, almost microscopic shimmer. It's not dust, nor a stray fiber. It's a faint iridescent film, barely visible unless the light catches it just so. You lean closer, your breath held. It smells faintly of ozone and something else, something synthetic, like burnt plastic, but cleaner, sharper. It's clinging to the smooth, lacquered surface, defying gravity. "What's this?" you murmur, more to yourself than to the others. The colleague peers over your shoulder. "Looks like nothing, Grant. Just a smudge." But it isn't a smudge. You gently touch it with the tip of a gloved finger. It's almost weightless, like powdered light, yet it adheres stubbornly. This isn't a byproduct of the auction house's environment. This is a calling card. This isn't just a theft. This is a demonstration, a statement. The sheer audacity, the flawless execution, the complete and utter lack of conventional evidence. It all screams of an intellect far beyond the common criminal. This is a challenge, thrown down with elegant precision. You stand at its center, the first act of a bewildering play unfolding around you. You are hunting a ghost, a phantom of intellect, whose presence is only marked by what it takes and the utter absence of its own trace. And the game, you sense with a tightening in your chest, has only just begun. A sense of cold certainty settles within you, a quiet hum beneath the din of the unfolding chaos. Your gloved fingertip, still hovering, brushes the faint, shimmering dust. It adheres to the latex, a silent, glittering testament to an intrusion, an unseen hand. This is not a common dust, nor a stray fiber. This is deliberate. The room, a stark chamber of steel racks and shrouded canvases, usually hums with the anticipation of wealth exchanged. The quiet power of art held briefly before its next destination. Now it pulses with a different energy, the methodical choreography of evidence collection. A forensic specialist, clad in the pristine white of their calling, kneels by the shattered display case, their breath fogging slightly in the cool air. Their movements are precise, a ballet of brush and tape, yet their brow is furrowed, a silent question etched between their eyes. "Anything, Grant?" The voice belongs to a senior detective, their tone a blend of weariness and professional curiosity. They stand a few feet away, hands tucked into their pockets, surveying the scene with an experienced yet increasingly perplexed gaze. The air around them seems to thicken with the lack of conventional answers. You turn, holding up your gloved hand, presenting the faint sparkle on your fingertip. Just this, on the lip of the empty pedestal. The senior detective steps closer, their eyes narrowing. They lean in, observing the residue, then meet your gaze. Odd. Doesn't look like anything from the usual kit. The theft of the Azure Whisper, a sapphire pendant valued beyond measure, feels less like a robbery and more like a vanishing act. It's almost ethereal. You murmur, examining the residue again, holding it up to the light. Like powdered starlight, if starlight could leave a trace. The poetic description, though unusual for a crime scene, feels fitting for something so utterly out of place. The forensic specialist rises, a clear evidence bag clutched in their hand, a single, almost invisible hair visible within. We've got a few fibers, a partial print on the inner casing, remarkably clean, almost wiped. And this. Whatever this shimmering dust is, it's not in our database. Their voice carries a note of frustration, the kind that surfaces when the familiar tools of their trade fail to provide the expected purchase. No conventional particulates, no textile fibers matching any known clothing, no skin cells that make sense for a struggle. This wasn't a smash and grab. This was surgical. The lack of struggle, the pristine nature of the remaining evidence, all point to a level of precision that transcends common criminality. The senior detective sighs, running a hand through their thinning hair. So, a ghost walked in, bypassed every security measure, took the most valuable item, and left nothing but a fancy glitter and a clean slate. This is going to be a nightmare to categorize. Corporate espionage? A high-tech art heist? Or just an exceptionally lucky thief? Their questions are rhetorical, born of the frustration that gnaws at the edges of their professional composure. You walk towards the empty pedestal, your gaze sweeping the room. Luck doesn't leave a room this clean. You crouch, examining the perfectly cut glass of the display case. The edges are sharp, but not jagged, as if surgically excised rather than violently shattered. A strange, almost alien precision. We're running every test on the residue, the forensic specialist confirms, sensing the shift in your focus. But it's unlike anything we've encountered. No organic compounds, no metallic signatures that register. It's almost inert, yet it exists. A paradox. A paradox. The word resonates with the gnawing feeling in your gut. This isn't just about a stolen jewel. This is about a challenge, a deliberate act designed to baffle, to provoke. You rise, your eyes meeting the senior detectives. This isn't an isolated incident. I can feel it. Your past failures, the cases that slipped through your fingers, taught you to trust these instincts. The pattern isn't visible yet, but the first thread, shimmering and elusive, has been laid bare. This residue, this powdered light, is the start of something far larger, far more intricate than a simple theft. The struggle to classify this crime is just the beginning of a deeper, more unsettling truth. And the tension in the room, once a mere hum, now tightens into a taut wire, ready to sing with the weight of what is to come. You trace the ghost of a shimmer on the empty pedestal, where a king's ransom in emeralds once rested, now only a whisper of absence. Your gaze drifts to the intricate laser grid, now reset. Its invisible threads a testament to a system flawlessly breached. A paradox, you'd called it. Not a theft, but a statement. A deliberate unraveling of certainty. The mastermind, a phantom with an architect's precision, had taken more than just a jewel. They had stolen the city's very illusion of impenetrable safety. You clench your jaw, the faint hum of the building's ventilation system a dull counterpoint to the insistent thrumming in your own veins. This wasn't a common criminal. This was a craftsman of chaos, painting with absence, sculpting with the impossible. Just as the early morning light begins to paint the city in hues of hesitant gold through the high, reinforced windows, your comm unit crackles. Another scene, another puzzle. The drive across the city is a blur of flashing lights and muted sirens, a stark contrast to the quiet contemplation you just left. You arrive at a sprawling residence, nestled behind wrought iron gates, its manicured lawns now scarred by the intrusion of official vehicles. The air here is different. It hums not with silent defiance, but with a palpable sense of violation. This is raw, visceral. You step past the uniformed officers, their faces grim, into a sanctuary utterly desecrated. The front door, a heavy slab of polished oak, stands ajar, not forced open, but left with an almost casual disregard. No splintered wood, no gouged frame. Just a silent invitation to a scene of profound disquiet. Inside, the opulence of the grand foyer lies shattered. A crystal chandelier, its delicate arms twisted like broken bone, sprawls across the marble floor, scattering facets of light that mock the destruction. Porcelain vases, once elegant sentinels, are reduced to glittering dust. Every surface, every artifact, speaks of a meticulous, almost artistic act of demolition. This isn't a smash and grab. This is a message, carefully curated, brutally delivered. A colleague, his face drawn, meets your eye. No forced entry grant. Alarm system disarmed. No trace of a bypass. Like they had a key or just walked through the walls. His voice is low, laced with the same unsettling wonder you felt at the auction house. In the living area, antique furniture is overturned, cushions slashed, their downy insides spilling like snow. books are ripped from shelves, their pages torn, scattered across the Persian rugs. Yet, amidst the chaos, a strange order emerges. The lead investigator, a veteran with tired eyes, shakes his head. That's the kicker, Grant. Nothing of significant monetary value. They didn't even touch the safe in the master bedroom. But this. He gestures to a small, unassuming wooden box, nestled incongruously on a pristine, untouched mantelpiece. You approach, your boots crunching on shattered glass. The box, simple, unadorned, seems utterly out of place amidst the grandeur and ruin. Says it belonged to his grandmother. Sentimental but worthless to anyone else. Your mind, a finely tuned instrument, begins to weave threads. No forced entry. Security systems bypassed with impossible ease. Valuables ignored. A single, seemingly insignificant item taken. The echoes of the auction house resonate, sharp and clear. The emerald, magnificent and priceless, yet ultimately just one jewel. Now, a tarnished thimble, a relic of forgotten domesticity. Two objects, worlds apart in value, yet united by the sheer audacity of their theft and the meticulous, almost theatrical nature of their acquisition. You crouch, examining the thimble. It's old, pitted, with a faint, almost invisible engraving on its side. Your fingers brush against the cool metal, a sudden understanding blossoming in your chest. This isn't just a home invasion, it's a second act. They wanted to prove they could take it. This isn't a random escalation. This is a deliberate, meticulous antagonist, weaving a narrative of impossible acts, each one a taunt, a challenge. The mastermind is not just taking objects, they are taking peace, one impossible act at a time. The masterful hand you now hunt. The mastermind, a phantom weaver of chaos, had escalated, not in brute force, but in the chilling, almost artistic precision of their malice. You moved among the uniformed guards and nervous specialists, your gaze dissecting every shadow, every reflection. Your presence here was an anomaly. The official line was a routine security assessment, a check on the digital infrastructure hosting the auction's critical data, especially after the recent financial collapse that had rocked the city's underpinnings. But you knew better. It was slated for a private showing, a digital relic rumored to contain encrypted ledgers from a forgotten era, now suddenly linked to the vanished funds of the collapsed investment firm. Detective Sterling. The head of auction security, a man with a perpetually furrowed brow and a digital tablet fused to his hand. Our network is air-gapped from the main grid for the showing. No external connections whatsoever. You nodded, your eyes fixed on a high-tech display case, where the Chronos key rested on a cushion of black velvet. It looked like a steampunk curiosity, an intricate brass and copper mechanism with tiny, almost microscopic engravings. A momentary flicker in the integrity checksum during its initial upload to our secure server, days ago. We reran it, and it cleared. Attributed it to a transient network hiccup. A transient network hiccup. You felt a familiar prickle of intuition, a subtle discord in the perfect symphony the mastermind was orchestrating. Show me the original log, you directed, your voice low, steady. The raw data, before the rerun. He led you to a discrete console, its screen glowing with lines of code. Most of it was standard, predictable. Then you saw it. It was a series of tiny, almost imperceptible deviations in the packet headers. A minute desynchronization that resolved itself too perfectly. A signature, not of a random error, but of an incredibly precise, almost artistic manipulation. The security chief would never have seen it. It was too subtle, too woven into the very fabric of the data stream. It wasn't an intrusion. It was a rewriting. See here, you pointed, your finger tracing a line of hexadecimal code. The checksum cleared, yes, but look at the preceding 5 packets. They're identical to the subsequent 5, down to the nanosecond. Yet the timestamp indicates a micro delay, a latency that shouldn't exist in an air-gapped system. And the resolution? Too clean. It's like a perfectly patched wound, but the scar tissue is still visible if you know where to look. The security chief squinted, his brow furrowing deeper. I don't follow, Detective. It's a deliberate, almost poetic overwrite. A signature, not of a hack, but of a custom-designed algorithm that rewrites the past to fit a new present. It's like watching a film where a single frame is replaced, perfectly, seamlessly, but the surrounding frames betray the alteration to a keen eye. This was the connection, the invisible thread. The corporate espionage case had involved data manipulation, not theft. The home invasion, a precise extraction of information, not just valuables. And the financial collapse, a systemic digital erosion, not a single catastrophic breach. All of them bore the mark of this same, almost artistic precision in data alteration. You pulled up the forensics reports from the other cases on your secure tablet, cross-referencing the minute digital signatures, the peculiar error patterns. The same micro-delay, the same pristine overwrite, the same ghost-like presence in the machine. This wasn't a criminal. This was a sculptor of digital reality. This wasn't about what was stolen or who was hurt in the traditional sense. It was about control, about rewriting narratives, about establishing a new truth through undetectable digital alchemy. The mastermind wasn't just committing crimes, they were composing them, each act a verse in a grand unseen opera. You felt outmaneuvered, a pawn on a board where the rules were constantly shifting, designed by an intellect far beyond the usual criminal. The tension in the back room, once a product of the impending auction, now felt like a taut wire stretching between you and an unseen hand. The thread, once invisible, now shimmered with an unsettling clarity, drawing you deeper into its intricate weave. You felt the chill of that revelation settle in your bones, a cold hand on your shoulder urging a quicker pace, a sharper eye. Dust motes dance in the slivers of sunlight piercing the tall, arched windows, illuminating the hushed reverence of the space. Velvet ropes delineate areas of forbidden access, while hushed voices murmur around you, discussing bids and provenance. It spoke of a ledger of forgotten names, an item now rumored to be among the lots. Not just any ledger, but one purportedly belonging to a long-defunct shipping magnate, whose empire had crumbled amidst a scandal of phantom vessels and vanished cargo decades ago. A ghost from the past, echoing the digital specter you now hunt. A familiar face emerges from the dim corners of the room, her brow furrowed, her movements stiff. It's the analyst, a mind as sharp as a freshly honed blade, who had been instrumental in dissecting the data manipulation from the corporate espionage case. Her eyes, usually alight with an almost academic fervor for patterns and anomalies, now hold a distant, troubled look. You notice the way her hands, usually steady, tremble slightly as she adjusts a stray strand of hair. A subtle tremor runs through you. This isn't right. You navigate the maze of crated art and covered furniture, the soft crunch of your shoes on the thick carpet barely audible beneath the low hum of conversation. There's been some talk about the magnate's ledger, a few irregularities. Irregularities? You prompt, your voice dropping to a low register. Your eyes meet hers, searching for the telltale flicker of truth, the unvarnished worry. She hesitates, glancing around as if fearing unseen ears. A colleague mentioned a discrepancy in its acquisition records. Nothing major, just a small administrative error. But then, an internal audit was launched. Quietly. And now, bypassed protocol. Data access logs. This isn't an administrative error. It's a meticulously placed trap. The mastermind isn't just orchestrating crimes. They are now actively trying to compromise your closest allies, twisting their legitimate actions into something sinister. Who raised these questions? You press. Incidents. But the timing grant. And the focus. It's too specific. You scan the room again, your gaze sharper, more predatory. This isn't just about the ledger anymore. Of course not, she asserts, her voice rising slightly before she catches herself. I followed every step. But the logs. Contradictory logs. Digital erosion. A systemic digital erosion. This is the same modus operandi. They are using the very tools of your investigation against you, turning your own systems into weapons. You place a reassuring hand on her arm, feeling the slight tremble beneath your touch. Stay calm. Don't say another word to anyone about this. I'll handle it. But tell me, about the ledger. What exactly is the irregularity? Her gaze darts towards a small, roped-off table where a velvet-covered pedestal awaits its star item. The provenance records. They indicate it was recently acquired from a private collector, but the paper trail leading to that collector. It's thin, almost non-existent, as if it appeared out of nowhere, just to be here, today. The pieces click into place with an unnerving precision. The stakes have become terrifyingly personal. You feel the weight of it, a crushing pressure that threatens to suffocate. But beneath it, a renewed surge of grim determination solidifies. You will not let them unravel you or those you protect. Not now. Not ever. Your gaze sweeps across the tableau of opulence, a collection of curated wealth poised to exchange hands. Sunlight, strained through grimy skylights, catches on the gilded frames of forgotten masters, glints off the facets of jewels nestled in velvet, and illuminates the dust motes dancing in a slow, silent ballet. Each item, a fragment of history, whispers its own story of acquisition and loss. You are a ghost moving among these echoes, your purpose a dissonant chord in the symphony of impending commerce. A colleague, the one you suspect was subtly framed, had left a cryptic note, a single underlined word: provenance. That single word, scratched hastily on a post-it note, had led you here, to this nexus of value and hidden history. You navigate the narrow aisles, past crated sculptures and covered paintings, until you reach the section designated for the historical documents and artifacts lot. Here, the light dims, absorbed by aged paper and tarnished silver. Your eyes scan the display cases, each containing a piece of the past, until they snag on an unassuming item. A compact leather-bound volume, its spine cracked, its pages yellowed. It's a ledger, not the phantom one that caused so much recent trouble, but an actual ledger. A physical relic nestled amongst antique maps and first edition novels. Its plainness, almost aggressively so, in this room of extravagance, draws you in. You lean closer, your reflection a distorted specter in the polished glass. The accompanying tag simply reads, Ledger Private Account, 1912. A simple label, yet a tremor of recognition shivers through you. He hesitates, glancing at the clock, then nods, retrieving a small key from a chain at his belt. The glass case slides open with a faint hiss of displaced air, releasing the faint, papery scent of a century past. With gloved hands, you lift the ledger. Its cover, once supple, is now stiff and brittle. You open it to a random page, your thumb brushing against the delicate, brittle paper. The script, a florid, spidery hand, lists transactions and dates, figures that meant nothing in isolation. But then, your fingers, almost subconsciously, trace the inner margin of the page, where the leather binding meets the first parchment. Not a letter nor a number, but a stylized mark, a small, intricate knot, etched with what appears to be a fine, almost needle-like point. It's barely visible, requiring the precise angle of light, a trick of the eye. You remember it. A fire, a collapsed factory, a financial ruin that had seemed to sweep away a small, promising enterprise back in 1912. The symbol had been found on a charred beam, dismissed as a random scorch mark. This ledger, this symbol, it's a key. It's not just a record of a private account. It's a blueprint, a coded signature. The Great Market Correction of 1912 wasn't a natural event. It was orchestrated. And the small, promising enterprise, the factory that burned, was not an accident. It was the first domino in a meticulously planned collapse, designed to benefit a hidden few. The mastermind isn't just imitating history. They're operating from a lineage, a hidden network that dates back generations. The current corporate espionage, the home invasion, the financial collapse. They are all modern echoes of a meticulously executed historical scheme. The framed colleague wasn't just investigating financial manipulation. They were unknowingly closing in on the origin of it. Your eyes dart around the back room, suddenly hyper-aware. The casual glances of the attendants, the low murmur of voices, they now seem imbued with a new, sinister weight. You feel an unseen gaze on you, a prickling sensation on your neck. The air, once just thick with anticipation, now feels charged with a silent warning. And in doing so, you've just stepped directly into their crosshairs. The glimmer of truth is blinding, but it also illuminates the path of a very real, very present danger. Velvet ropes sectioned off precious lots, their surfaces gleaming under the cool, surgical light of overhead fluorescence. Crates, some scarred by transit, others pristine, waited like silent sentinels, holding secrets yet to be unveiled. Your target wasn't an item on the auction block, not directly. It was the subtle currents that flowed beneath the veneer of legitimate commerce, the hidden conduits of influence and illicit exchange. The financial collapse, the corporate espionage. They all pointed to a network, a web spun with meticulous care, and you felt its threads converging here, in this opulent antechamber of wealth. You sought a specific collection of documents, rumored to be part of a private estate sale, ostensibly unrelated to your current investigations, yet a whisper in the wind had hinted at their dark relevance. Your eyes, honed by years of deciphering human deceit, noted the nervous energy of the junior catalogers, the practiced indifference of the senior staff. Security cameras, discreetly tucked into corners, blinked with cold, unblinking eyes. You paused by a stack of leather-bound ledgers, their pages brittle with age, pretending a casual interest. Your fingers traced the intricate gold tooling, but your mind was elsewhere, sifting through the layers of information you'd painstakingly gathered. A familiar voice cut through the quiet hum, smooth as polished marble, yet with an underlying steel. Grant Sterling. A surprise to find you amidst these gilded cages. You turned, your expression carefully neutral. The city regulator, a man whose public persona was synonymous with unyielding integrity, stood before you. His tailored suit was impeccable, his silver hair perfectly coiffed. His eyes, usually piercing, now held a glint of what might have been genuine amusement. He was an institutional pillar, a figurehead of rectitude, a man you had always held in quiet respect, even admiration. Regulator, you acknowledged, a slight nod. Just observing. The city's pulse often beats strongest where its wealth congregates. A faint smile touched his lips. Indeed, you noticed his left hand, usually held with an almost military stiffness, was relaxed, fingers splayed. A detail. Your mind cataloged it. He sighed, a sound of practiced weariness. A word of advice, Grant, if I may. Follow the money by all means, but don't follow it too far up the chain. Sometimes the higher you climb, the less solid the ground beneath your feet becomes. One can lose one's footing rather easily. His tone was paternal, almost cautionary, but a discordant note resonated in your gut. Was it a warning or a veiled threat? I appreciate the counsel, you said, meeting his gaze, searching for something, anything in its depth. There was nothing but the calm, assured confidence of a man in control. Good, Now, if you'll excuse me, a pre-sale review awaits." He offered a brief, dismissive gesture with his right hand, a subtle sweep towards the back of the room, then turned to leave. As he walked away, your eyes, almost by instinct, caught his reflection in a polished display case holding an array of ancient coins. You watched him move, his gait unhurried, his posture erect. Your gaze flickered to his left hand, now out of his direct line of sight but clearly visible in the distorted, convex surface of the glass. And then you saw it. His left thumb, almost imperceptibly, brushed the face of his wristwatch. Twice. A tiny, precise movement, barely a tremor, yet deliberate. Your breath hitched. It was too quick, too controlled to be an idle gesture. It was a signal. Your eyes, now sharper than a raptor's, tracked the direction of his gaze immediately after the signal. It landed, for only a fraction of a second, on a young junior staff member, bent over a large, unmarked wooden crate at the far end of the back room. The staff member, a nervous-looking man with perpetually ink-stained fingers, didn't react overtly. No nod, no glance back. But as the city regulator disappeared through an archway, the junior staff member straightened, his movements subtly more purposeful. He cast a quick, furtive glance around the empty space, then began to methodically pry open the lid of the crate. The city regulator, the paragon of civic virtue, making a clandestine signal? To a junior staffer? You made your way, slowly, deliberately, towards the crate. The air felt heavier now, charged with a new, insidious tension. The junior staff member, oblivious to your approach, struggled with a stubborn latch. This wasn't merely a puzzle. It was a betrayal. "Need a hand?" you offered, your voice startling him. He jumped, nearly dropping his pry bar. "Detective Sterling?" No, I'm fine. Just a bit stiff, this one." He gestured vaguely at the crate, his eyes wide, a sheen of sweat on his brow. "What's inside?" you asked, your tone deceptively mild, your gaze fixed on the crate. It was larger than most and oddly heavy for its placement among the delicate artifacts. "Just inventory," he stammered, avoiding your eyes. "Belongs to a private collection, not for auction." The lid finally gave way with a soft groan of wood. Your mind immediately flashed to the corporate espionage case, the stolen schematics, the vanished data. These were not inventory for an auction house. These were evidence. These were the very items that should have been under secure impound, seized by investigators. The junior staff member's face paled, his eyes darting between you and the contents of the crate. The pieces clicked into place with a sickening finality. He wasn't just compromised, he was an active player, an institutional pillar, rotten from within. A bitter taste filled your mouth, the flavor of disillusionment. The ground had indeed shifted beneath your feet, but not in the way the regulator had implied. It was not your footing that was precarious, but the very foundations of the system you sought to uphold. If a man like the city regulator could be bought, could be bent, then who else? The mastermind's reach was longer, more insidious than you had ever dared to imagine. You were truly alone in this labyrinth, and the air in the back room, once merely tense, now felt heavy with the suffocating weight of betrayal. Your shadow, long and distorted, fell over the open crate. You knelt, your fingers tracing the cool, unyielding surface of the closest drive. It was sleek, without a single identifying mark, yet its weight in your palm felt significant, a dense block of hidden information. The metallic components, small, perfectly machined cylinders and flat, circuit-laden plates, suggested a purpose far beyond simple electronics. They hummed with a silent potential, a quiet threat. This was not a collection for display. This was an arsenal, designed for disruption. A faint, almost imperceptible scent, like ozone mixed with something metallic, pricked at your senses. It was too subtle to be an immediate danger, yet it settled in the back of your throat. A premonition. Your eyes scanned the room, the piles of velvet-draped furniture, the stacks of crated artwork, the general clutter of a space designed for transit, not prolonged stay. No obvious wires, no glaring tripwires. The trap, if this was it, was more subtle, more insidious. You pulled a small, worn reader from your jacket, its screen glowing faintly in the dim light. Plugging one of the drives into it, you watched the device whir to life, then falter. Encrypted, it flashed, stark white against black. Proprietary protocol. The mastermind, you realized, wasn't just hiding data. They were designing entirely new ways to secure it, to lock their secrets away from prying eyes. This level of sophistication spoke volumes. As you disconnected the drive, a low, resonant thrum began to vibrate through the floorboards. It wasn't the distant rumble of city traffic, nor the mechanical groan of the building settling. It was rhythmic, deliberate, and growing. Your gaze darted to the single heavy steel door, then to the high, grimy window overlooking a narrow alley. No easy exits. Predictable. Your breath hitched. He knew you. He had planned for you. This wasn't a discovery, it was an invitation. The components, the drives, they were bait. The auction, the voice continued, a dry chuckle rattling through the speakers, is merely a backdrop, a stage for a more intimate performance. You seek truth, Grant. The ozone scent intensified, now acrid, metallic, stinging your nostrils. Gas. Not lethal, perhaps, but disorienting. A slow, creeping paralysis designed to incapacitate, to allow for a clean sweep. You gripped the encrypted drives tighter, a sudden surge of adrenaline sharpening your focus. This wasn't just about escape. It was about securing this evidence. To leave them behind would be to surrender the very tools he used to orchestrate his grand design. The data you hold, the voice intoned, now tinged with a predatory edge, is merely a fraction of the truth. Irrelevant, without context. But you, Grant, you are a variable I cannot afford. The door, previously a solid, unyielding barrier, now showed faint, glowing lines of red light around its frame. A sudden, sharp click echoed through the room, followed by the whirring of heavy-duty locks engaging. You were sealed in. Your eyes, now burning from the acrid air, darted around. The components in the crate, the data drives, the gas, the locked door, the menacing voice. It was all a meticulously crafted tableau. The mastermind wasn't just reacting, he was anticipating, drawing you into a designed cul-de-sac. You coughed, a dry, rasping sound. Your head began to swim, the edges of your vision blurring. The time for deliberation was over. You had to move, and quickly. The window. It was high but not impossible. With a grunt, you snatched the remaining data drives from the crate, stuffing them into your jacket pockets alongside the first. The metallic components, too large and cumbersome to carry, would have to be left. A calculated risk. The information was paramount. The air grew thicker, each breath a struggle. The voice from the speakers began to count down, slow and deliberate. 10. 9. Your fingers scrabbled at the latch of the window, rusted and stiff. The glass, thick and grimy, resisted your efforts. The countdown continued, a rhythmic hammer against your eardrums. 7. 6. With a desperate surge of strength, you kicked at the frame, once, twice. The glass shuddered. The gas bit deeper, burning your lungs. Your vision narrowed to the task at hand. This wasn't just about survival. It was about defiance. To be caught here, disarmed and incapacitated, would be to validate his ruthless foresight. 4, 3. The window frame groaned, splinters flying. With a final explosive kick, The glass shattered outwards, showering the alley with glittering shards. You gulped it down, a lifeline. 2. You launched yourself through the jagged opening, falling awkwardly into the alley below, landing hard on loose gravel and discarded crates. Pain flared through your knee, but you ignored it, pushing yourself to your feet. The voice, now a triumphant crescendo, echoed from the broken window behind you. 0. Checkmate, Grant Sterling. But you were not checkmated. You were free. The drive still clutched close. The mastermind had shown his hand, revealed his ruthlessness, but in doing so, he had also revealed a deeper truth. The record sale itself was merely a diversion, a grand illusion to mask the true prize, the true target, which you now knew was far more valuable than any antique. It was you, and the data. The echo of your ragged breath was a raw thing in the sudden quiet, a stark counterpoint to the distant, oblivious hum of the city. You stumbled, the pain in your side a hot, insistent throb, yet your grip on the data drives was an anchor, absolute. Your escape had been a scramble through shadows and service corridors, a desperate ballet of survival while the world beyond buzzed with anticipation for the gavel's fall. Now, you leaned against a cold brick wall in a narrow alley, the drives pressed against your chest, their cool plastic a strange comfort. Your mind, a maelstrom of adrenaline and fragmented insights, began to sift through the chaos. The mastermind had indeed shown a hand, but not the full deck. Not yet. What you held was a piece of the grand design, perhaps the linchpin. You found a forgotten cafe, its late-night patrons sparse, the clatter of ceramic cups a dull murmur. In a secluded booth, the dim light a balm, you connected the first drive to a discrete device, a small console you always carried. Your fingers, steady despite the tremor in your limbs, danced across the keys. The encryption was complex, layered like geological strata, but the mastermind's haste had left subtle cracks. Hours bled into a singular, focused moment, the world outside receding into an irrelevant blur. Not just raw information, but a narrative, meticulously crafted. The corporate espionage wasn't a standalone theft. It was the acquisition of proprietary algorithms, predictive models designed to manipulate market volatility. And the suspicious financial collapse? It was the deliberate surgical application of those stolen algorithms, an engineered cascade designed to destabilize, to create a vacuum where a new power could rise. This wasn't about simple greed. It was about control, a reordering of the city's power structure, a violent cleansing of the very elite the mastermind claimed to despise. The auction house, with its record sale, suddenly made sense. It wasn't just a distraction. It was a symbolic act, a public display of wealth and influence, precisely the kind of institution the mastermind was dismantling from the inside. The item being sold, a rare historical document, was irrelevant. The event was the stage. Then, a name. Not a direct reveal, but a pattern, a ghost in the machine. A secure server repeatedly accessed by a specific, unique login. It was a signature, a ghost print. You cross-referenced it with the background checks from the corporate espionage case, the financial collapse investigations, even the victims of the home invasion. The former head of a defunct philanthropic foundation, a man lauded for his vision but ostracized for his radical, often volatile ideas about systemic reform. He had been quietly erased from the city's social registers after a public scandal, a supposed embezzlement that had ruined his reputation. But the data here painted a different picture. The scandal was a setup, a calculated removal. He wasn't embezzling. He was exposing. And now, he was retaliating. His name was not Grant Sterling, but you knew it. You saw the intricate web, the threads of vengeance and reforged power. He was not just a criminal. He was a disillusioned architect, rebuilding the city in his own image, brick by brutal brick. The grand scheme was a multifaceted attack on the city's power brokers, designed to crumble their empires and elevate his own, under the guise of justice. You closed the console, the drives now holding not just data, but a name, a motive, a terrifying blueprint. The cafe suddenly felt too open, too exposed. He knew you had the drives. He knew you were close. The game of cat and mouse had begun its final, desperate phase. He wouldn't be hiding in the usual criminal haunts. He would be in the very heart of the city's elite, pulling strings, observing the chaos he had sown. The city sprawled before you, a labyrinth of glass and steel, each towering structure a potential hiding place, each alley a possible trap. You hailed a street cab, the driver's bored gaze missing the storm brewing behind your eyes. Your destination was not a police precinct, not yet. You needed to confirm your deductions, to find the next move in his twisted game. You needed to anticipate, to think like him. The cab sped through the arterial streets, the city lights blurring into streaks of neon. Your mind raced, piecing together the last fragments. He wouldn't just vanish. He would be moving, consolidating, preparing his final move. And you, Grant, were the only one who could stop him. The tension in the air was palpable, a live wire humming with impending confrontation. You felt the city's pulse, a frantic drumbeat against your own, knowing that somewhere across this sprawling urban canvas, he was preparing his next stroke, unaware that you had finally found his name. Your ragged breath, a coarse rasp against the sudden quiet, echoed the frantic beat of your own pulse. Shadows, long and distorted, stretched from the stacked crates and veiled canvases, dancing with the single bare bulb that hummed overhead. You moved through them, a phantom amidst potential fortunes, your gaze sweeping over the scene. Then a figure emerged from the deeper gloom, stepping with an unsettling grace from behind a draped sculpture. Grant Sterling. The voice was a silken snare, familiar yet now laced with a chilling authority you had only just begun to comprehend. Always so, persistent. The individual who stood before you, bathed in the anemic glow, was someone you had known, respected even, a pillar of the city's artistic community, a renowned collector whose name graced philanthropic endeavors. All of it. The words were not a question, but a declaration, forged in the crucible of your deductions. The collector offered a slow, almost theatrical smile, a predatory gleam in his eyes. A masterpiece, wouldn't you agree? Each stroke, each hue meticulously placed. The corporate espionage, merely a brush to acquire the initial palette. The home invasion, a necessary removal of a stubborn stain. The financial collapse, a grand illusion to shift the market's light. He gestured vaguely, as if presenting an invisible canvas. And the corruption? Why, that's merely the frame holding it all together. You built an empire on lies and ruin, you retorted. The weight of the data drives in your hand, a testament to the truth. You didn't just break the system. You redesigned it for your own twisted vision. Vision, Grant, is precisely the word. The collector purred, taking a step closer. His gaze flickered to the drives. Those little trinkets, however, are a flaw in my design. A rogue element. They must be reclaimed. A sudden movement. Not a lunge, but a deceptive sweep of his arm, knocking a heavy, velvet-draped stand that held a bronze bust directly into your path. The collector was surprisingly agile, his public facade of genteel refinement peeling away to reveal a honed, dangerous core. You underestimated me. You grunted, pressing a hand to your aching side. On the contrary, he replied, his voice still unnervingly calm. I merely anticipated your predictable adherence to antiquated notions of justice. Such a quaint concept in a world built on power. He moved again, circling, his hand reaching for a heavy, ornate letter opener resting on a nearby crate. The steel glinted wickedly under the bare bulb. You knew this dance. This was not merely about apprehension. It was about dismantling a carefully constructed myth. The auction today, you pressed, forcing air into your lungs. The record sale. It was your final act, wasn't it? To launder the last of your illicit gains, or perhaps acquire the final piece of your collection. Something that would solidify your untouchable status. The collector paused, the letter opener now a silver extension of his hand. An astute observation, Grant. A final flourish. The world believes it's merely a transaction of art. This can end quietly. You walk away, a little wiser, a little richer, perhaps. Your justice will be a footnote no one reads. That's not how my story ends, you stated, your voice firm despite the tremor in your injured side. You took a deliberate step back, assessing the array of crates, the narrow aisles, the potential for cover, for leverage. He lunged then, swift and silent as a viper. The letter opener a blur aimed at your hand, at the very drives you clutched. You twisted, the sharp edge grazing your forearm, a searing line of fire. The pain was a jolt, sharpening your focus, cutting through the haze of exhaustion. You didn't fight with brute force, not against his unexpected speed. You fought with your mind, with the environment. As he pressed his attack, you ducked low, sweeping your leg out, not to trip him, but to upset a precariously balanced stack of framed prints. They tumbled, a cascade of shattering glass and splintering wood, creating a momentary barrier between you. He cursed, stumbling back, momentarily disoriented by the chaotic crash. In that fleeting second, you saw your chance. You moved, not towards the exit, but deeper into the labyrinth of the back room, towards a heavy metal loading door you had noted earlier. Fool, the collector snarled, regaining his footing. You cannot escape. It was latched from the inside, a thick steel bar. Your fingers fumbled, the pain in your arm a distraction, but the urgency propelled you. He was gaining, his footsteps surprisingly light, the gleam of the letter opener a beacon of threat. You heard the rustle of his expensive suit, the sharp intake of his breath. It's over, Grant, he hissed, just as your fingers found the latch, twisting the heavy bar. It groaned, refusing to budge entirely. Jammed. Not yet, you retorted, turning to face him, the data drive still clutched in your uninjured hand. Your eyes scanned the space, seeking anything, any advantage. Your gaze landed on a robust iron crowbar leaning against a crate. He lunged again, the letter opener flashing. This time, you didn't dodge. You met him, not with a weapon, but with a sudden, desperate pivot, slamming your shoulder into his midsection. The impact was jarring, sending a fresh wave of agony through your ribs, but it bought you a precious second. He staggered back, winded, the letter opener clattering to the concrete floor. You seized the opportunity, snatching the crowbar. Your masterpiece is exposed. His face, once a mask of suave composure, contorted into a snarl of pure rage. He launched himself at you, a desperate cornered animal, eyes blazing with a fury that belied his refined exterior. He didn't care about the crowbar, he wanted the drives. You didn't swing. You sidestepped, using the crowbar to deflect his charge, pushing him off balance. The sound, sharp and undeniable, finally pierced the insulated quiet of the back room. Distant shouts, the hurried thud of footsteps from beyond the loading door, indicated the commotion had drawn attention. The collector froze, his eyes darting towards the door, then back to you. A flicker of panic replacing the rage. The spell of his control, the illusion of his untouchable power, was breaking. You stood over him, the crowbar still in your hand. The data drives a precious weight in the other. Your breath came in ragged gasps, your body screaming in protest, but your resolve was unyielding. The mastermind, the architect of ruin, was finally cornered. You didn't swing. You met his charge with a sudden pivot, a trained dancer's grace born of necessity. His momentum, a desperate blind fury, carried him past your shoulder, a whirlwind of tailored linen and pure, unadulterated spite. Your hand, a practiced snare, found his wrist, twisting. The crowbar, a heavy, silent witness, clattered to the polished concrete floor, forgotten in the clamor of the moment. You drove your elbow into the soft hollow behind his ear, a precise, disorienting strike designed to incapacitate, not to end. He stumbled, a guttural gasp escaping his lips, his eyes losing their frantic focus, and you were already there, a blur of motion, retrieving the small, cold metal rectangles from his loosening grip. The drives, the heart of the conspiracy, were now yours. Dust motes danced in the solitary bare bulb's harsh glare, illuminating the fine sheen of sweat on your brow. His eyes, still blazing with a diminished, impotent rage, met yours. "You think this changes anything, Sterling?" He rasped, a thread of blood tracing a path from the corner of his mouth. "You've merely pruned a branch. The root runs deeper than you can comprehend." The arrival of the first colleague was a welcome disruption to the charged quiet. The heavy steel door groaned open, spilling a sliver of the brighter, expectant light from the main hall into the dim back room. A uniformed officer, weapon raised, took in the scene. You, kneeling over the subdued mastermind, the scattered clutter, the air thick with spent adrenaline. Relief, a thin, fragile thread, loosened its grip in your chest. Soon, the space was alive with the measured movements of forensic teams and additional officers. His words, though meant to unnerve, resonated with a truth you had already begun to suspect. The drives, now clutched securely in your hand, felt like a promise and a burden. They held the names, the dates, the encrypted ledgers, a digital tapestry woven from avarice and ambition, revealing the full, horrifying scope of his network. The financial collapse, the home invasion, the corporate secrets. They were all threads in a single monstrous loom, designed to reshape the city's power structure for personal gain. He saw himself as a visionary, a necessary purge, rather than a criminal. The detective in charge of processing the scene approached, a weary nod your only greeting. "The drives are secure, Grant. Our tech teams are already decrypting. Early indications confirm what you suspected. This goes deep, very deep." You looked out at the city lights, a distant shimmer through the grimy window panes. Justice in its immediate, tangible form was being served. The mastermind was apprehended, his grand design shattered, his network exposed. The cost had been steep. The cracks were not merely in the mastermind's scheme, but in the system itself. This wasn't a singular anomaly, but a symptom of a pervasive illness, a cancerous growth that had been allowed to fester, unnoticed or ignored for too long. The unraveling of this conspiracy would send shockwaves, undoubtedly toppling many. But would it truly cleanse the wound? Or merely expose more rot beneath? Your unwavering sense of justice had led you here, to this quiet triumph amidst the ruins. But it had also shown you the enduring vigilance required. The fight wasn't over. It never truly was. This ending was not a period, but an ellipsis, a lingering question mark hanging over the city's fractured skyline.